Good evening, friends, wherever you may be listening tonight. Whether you're driving down a quiet highway, working late at your desk, or simply tuning in for a moment of reflection, you're about to hear a message that has the power to change your life. Not through gimmicks, but by revealing the timeless truths that govern success, wealth, and the human spirit. Tonight's topic: 5 simple steps to move from average to fortune. Stay with us. Let's take a quiet moment together and ask a question very few people ever dare to ask themselves. Am I truly living the life I was meant to live? Now, that's not a question of comfort or even of wealth. It's a question of purpose, of direction, of fulfillment. You see, in every city, every town, every home, there are people who deep down know they were made for more. Not necessarily fame or fortune in the popular sense, but the richness that comes from living a life of intent, of direction, of growing into all that they can be. Tonight, I want to share with you 5 simple steps that can take any man or woman from any walk of life and move them from the realm of the average into a life of true fortune. Not just financial success, but peace of mind, freedom of time, and a legacy of purpose. Let's begin. Step 1. Decide exactly what you want. Every great achievement begins with clarity. The average person drifts through life reacting, rarely deciding. They want more, but cannot define what. Decide exactly what you want, not someday. Now, is it a certain income, a profession, a lifestyle, a contribution to the world? Whatever it is, define it in writing. A goal unwritten is just a wish. Remember this: you become what you think about most of the time. Back it with belief. Once you know what you want, you must believe, truly believe, that it's possible for you. Not someday, not for someone else. For you, and now. Belief is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it grows. Feed your mind daily with ideas, books, and thoughts that align with your goal. Guard your mind as you would your home. Don't let in doubt disguised as realism. A Step 3. Act. Boldly in daily action is the bridge between thought and reality. You don't have to see the entire staircase. Just take the next step. Most people wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, but fortune favors the bold. Take daily action toward your goal, no matter how small. Motion creates momentum, and momentum creates miracles. Step 4. Master your mindset. The difference between winners and everyone else isn't just effort, it's mental discipline. Feed your mind daily with positive, purposeful thoughts. Speak kindly to yourself. Persist when things get hard. Refuse to dwell on failure. It's merely feedback. Build the mental habits of gratitude, optimism, and calm determination. That is the armor of the fortunate. Step 5. Serve others generously. The surest way to fortune is to help others succeed. Whatever your work, make it excellent. Make it valuable. Make it about them, not you. Zig Ziglar once said, "You can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want." That's not just a nice sentiment. It's a law. Plant service, and you will reap reward. Fortune isn't found, it's forged. It begins in the mind, not in the hands, and certainly not in the lottery of luck. It's not a matter of stumbling upon a hidden treasure or waiting for the right moment to arrive. No, fortune is created, slowly, deliberately, and with unwavering intention, by those who dare to think clearly, see farther, and act consistently. The mind, that silent workshop of all progress and poverty alike, is the birthplace of every fortune the world has ever seen. Vision is its architect, discipline is its builder, and action is the fuel that keeps the machinery running day and night. The average person often believes that fortune belongs to the few, the lucky, the privileged, the chosen. But the truth is more empowering. Fortune bows not to luck, but to clarity. When a person finally sits with themselves truly and honestly, and begins to carve out in their imagination a life worth living, they ignite a fire that no external force can extinguish. Vision is more than daydreaming. It is the act of seeing what does not yet exist and treating it as real. It is detailed, specific, and unshakable. It becomes the compass by which every decision is measured, every effort directed, every failure absorbed and repurposed into fuel. But vision alone is like a blueprint left on a dusty desk. Without discipline, it remains just ink and paper. Discipline is the quiet warrior that does the work when no one is watching. It wakes you before the sun and keeps you going when distractions whisper for your attention. It is the choice to say no when comfort calls, and yes when effort is required. It sharpens the edges of our intent, slices through resistance, and builds the muscles of self-respect and inner strength. Fortune does not appear in bursts of passion. It is earned in the monotony of focused repetition. Yet all the vision and discipline in the world are meaningless without action. The world belongs not to those who wish or those who plan, but to those who do. Action is the test of belief. It is where fear meets courage, where delay is replaced by motion. Action may be messy. It may be imperfect, but it moves the needle, and every small act done with purpose becomes a brick in the foundation of a life far beyond average. The mind conceives, discipline constructs, but it is action that breathes life into every plan. The truth is, fortune does not fall into laps. It is drawn into lives that are prepared to receive it. And that preparation begins in silence, in solitude, in thought. It begins with a person who decides, once and for all, to stop waiting for something to happen, and to start making it happen. Not for applause, not for validation, but because something deep within whispers that more is possible. That greatness is not a gift, but a responsibility. That fortune, real and lasting, is not out there. It is waiting to be built. One decision, 1 hour, one act at a time. The difference between the average person and the successful one is rarely talent, but always habit. Talent is scattered freely across the world. It resides in quiet towns and crowded cities, in children with curious minds and adults who never had the chance to test their potential. It is found in artists, thinkers, builders, and dreamers, often hidden beneath years of distraction and self-doubt. But talent, no matter how bright, is like an uncut gem. It has little value until it's shaped, refined, and used with purpose. And that shaping never happens by accident. It happens through habit, through the invisible systems we build each day by what we choose to do, and just as importantly, by what we choose not to do. Habits are the great equalizer. They do not care where you were born, what your last name is, or whether anyone believes in you. They are built one choice at a time, stacked like bricks, creating the structure of your life whether you're aware of it or not. Where the average person moves with impulse, the successful move with rhythm. They don't wait for inspiration. They build routines that carry them through resistance, through boredom, through fear. They write when they don't feel like it. They train when no one is watching. They study when the world is resting. Their lives are shaped not by bursts of brilliance, but by steady, repeated acts that compound quietly over time. Excellence is not born from motivation. It is born from maintenance, from doing the thing even when the excitement has faded and only commitment remains. The successful don't rely on feeling ready. They rely on being ready, and being ready is the result of repetition, of discipline turned into second nature. To the outside world, their results may seem extraordinary, but to them, it's simply the natural result of ordinary actions done consistently. The average person waits for the right conditions. They want energy, inspiration, applause, but the successful learn early that the right conditions are created, not found. They show up tired. They show up unsure, but they show up, and in showing up, they gain power. Power over their time, their mind, and eventually their results. It's not because they're smarter or more gifted. It's because they've mastered the small things most ignore. The morning routine, the focused hour, the disciplined no to distractions, the quiet evening of review and reflection. These are not glamorous, but they are transformational. A single habit may seem like a small thing, a new bedtime, a daily walk, a journal entry, a moment of stillness before the noise begins. But these small acts become threads in the fabric of success. They hold the life together. They give shape to potential. And while talent waits to be discovered, habit gets to work. Because it is not the extraordinary gift that leads to greatness. It is the ordinary practice done with intention, again and again, until the person becomes something more than they ever thought possible. Every great journey starts with a decision to stop drifting and to start directing your life with purpose. It's a quiet moment, often unnoticed by the world, when a person looks around and realizes that the days have begun to blur together. Not because time moves too fast, but because they've surrendered the wheel. Drifting happens slowly. One skipped intention, one postponed goal, one quiet compromise at a time. Until one day, you find yourself living by default instead of design, moving through routines that were never consciously chosen, reacting instead of creating. That is the moment the journey begins, not with a sudden leap, but with a decision so clear that it cuts through the fog. It doesn't come from noise or pressure, but from an inner stirring, a discomfort that becomes unbearable. It's the realization that waiting for life to change is not the same as changing it. The truth is, most people aren't lost. They're simply unanchored. They have potential but no direction, ideas but no execution, desire but no decision. And until that shift happens, from wandering to choosing, no amount of effort can bring lasting change. The power of a decision lies not in its sound, but in its weight. A real decision alters the course of every day that follows it. It draws a line in the sand and says, no more drifting. It doesn't require a perfect plan or a grand vision. It only requires honesty and the courage to take ownership, to admit that life doesn't shape itself. That clarity doesn't arrive wrapped in certainty. That purpose is not a revelation, but a result. a product of choosing direction over delay. Once the decision is made, things begin to move, not always externally at first, but internally. The mind sharpens, the distractions lose their appeal. The time that once slipped away unnoticed becomes something to protect. You start asking different questions. Who am I becoming? What am I building? What do I stand for? The decision awakens the dormant parts of you, the parts that have been waiting for you to lead. Drifting is easy because it requires nothing, no aim, no effort, but it costs everything. Years vanish, talents go unused, dreams dissolve into distant memories. Direction, on the other hand, demands attention. It asks you to choose what matters, to prioritize the meaningful over the urgent, to step out of the crowd and walk your own path. It's not always glamorous. It's not always loud. But it brings something drifting never will: alignment. That deep sense that your life is moving somewhere on purpose, even if the road is hard and the pace is slow. Every journey, no matter how grand, starts with the same quiet power to decision. A choice to stop letting days happen to you, and to start happening to the days. It doesn't require perfection. It only requires a moment of clarity strong enough to set you in motion and a refusal to go back to sleep. Fortune isn't found, it's forged. It begins with vision, is shaped by discipline, and becomes real through consistent action. The difference between average and extraordinary isn't talent, it's habit. Success is built quietly in daily choices most ignore, and every great journey begins not with luck, but with a decision. To stop drifting, to take control, and to live with purpose. This isn't theory, it's a timeless law, proven by every man or woman who's ever risen above their circumstances. You don't need permission. You don't need the perfect plan. What you need is already within you: the ability to decide, to act, and to persist. Let me leave you with this quote to carry with you. The man or woman who moves with purpose is a rare and unstoppable force. Decide, believe, act, grow, and give, and the world will open its doors to you. The difference between the average life and the extraordinary one is only 5 steps away. Simple steps. Not easy, but simple. And they begin with you making a decision tonight.